In Materio, you have the option to go in and create an invoice for project scope, or what we call items. Now, this can be an item that is planned. It is just simply scope. We're saying, okay, we're going to have a ceiling fan in a certain place and it's going to cost this much. At this point, I might not know what the actual product is for the scope of work, but I can still send an invoice for that. So when I do that, I'm kind of making a guess at what this item is going to cost. So I'm going to add this to an invoice, and let's say I'm going to go ahead and bill for it. In some cases, you might be doing a percentage, but generally it's going to work the same. So I'm going to send this over. And then I'm also going to go ahead, for the sake of this, and just mark this as paid. And when I do that, I now have payment on that item. So let's say that I then go back and want to actually add a product to this. So let's say I'm looking for ceiling fans. I'm going to add this one. I'm going to choose it. My client approves it. And now we are ready to collect final payment on that actual product. So I send an item, I go to project scoped again, and you'll see that I have a ceiling fan here. Now it says it's approved and that there's a credit due. And the reason there's going to be a credit due is because the item that my client approved is less. So if you input that, Materio is going to track that credit, and it's going to show you that you have a $109 credit on this invoice. Now, one thing to note is that you cannot send an invoice for negative amounts. You have to send an invoice to a client that has some amount that needs to be paid. I would go back and I would add some other type of item that would allow me to enter or charge my client more than the partial amount. So now I can send this over. And this credit is going to show up on the invoice. It's going to sync over to QuickBooks as a negative line item. And so that's how credit works in Materio. You can, we're going to track that credit automatically for you. We're also going to track any increases in prices as well. So that's how you could issue a credit. One other way that you could always come in and issue a credit is also do an other item. And you could call this like, discount credit or something like that. And I could add a negative number here. So I could always add a negative number there. Again, you're just going to have to add in some other amount of project scope to make the invoice not be a zero, less than $10 amount. So that is the only caveat, I guess, when issuing a credit or using the credit function on Materio.